And a good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Issues and Attitudes. My name is Jeff Owens, Director of WEIU. Today's a fun day. We're talking to all things WEIU. Rameen Karbassioon.
Good afternoon.
Lacey Spence.
Hello, hello.
And Armstrong.
Hello.
So guess what we're talking about? It is
Altamont. This is our story.
very good. So, yes, WEIU's Altamont, This Is Our Story debuts this week, and today we're talking to the producers, directors, and project manager about it. But we always play a little dumb at the beginning, so could you explain to the folks who might be new to the area and new to the stations what This Is Our Story is all about?
This Is Our Story is a local production from WEIU that we started back in 2014. And we interview volunteer storytellers in different communities, different counties, to be a part of a story that archives the history, places, people, events that shape their town.
Okay. And then I guess, this being the 19th one, how did you guys all come about choosing Altamont?
Well, that's a unique story in its own. The last story that we did was Dietrich, and a person from Altamont by the name of David Frederking wanted to order a DVD copy of that show. And so when I was talking to him on the phone about the Our Story program, he said we needed to go to Altamont next. So hence we visited Altamont, started talking to people, and here we are.
There you go. And so the show's Wednesday. Give us all the details about where people can watch and what time and all that stuff.
Well, first of all, it's on TV, which there's many ways to watch television now, but obviously WEIU TV, we're on satellite, cable, rabbit ears, over the ears, people like to say it, and a multitude of streaming options, starting with our website, the PBS app, YouTube TV, Local Now, and Hulu. Did I get them all? Or pretty close? Is there one more?
There might be one more in there somewhere.
So lots of places.
Say YouTube?
Oh, and Facebook and regular YouTube will be streaming on our respective pages.
7 o'clock Wednesday is the show?
You got it.
Okay, I mean, the other thing I like to, the idea behind this show from day one was to go behind the scenes. So when you decide on the show and then the story and the storytellers, take us behind the scenes on how that's kind of created and where it came from and how it kind of just happens.
Nothing happens by chance. I've only been a part of the last 7, but what I will say is that this is the prime opportunity for people from their own community. So that could be your neighbor, your coaches, your teachers, your just local leaders, the movers and shakers, as we like to call them. They get the opportunity to sit down and tell stories that matter to them, matter to the community. They're worth recording in history. This is a historical document for you to share with future generations so stories don't get lost. And so we go to the communities and we tell them our mission. We show them previous projects and let them know that you can tell anything under the sun that's unique or interesting, and we kind of give them the floor. We give them free rein. They'll kind of talk amongst themselves, and usually on production day they've got a decent idea of the stories they want told.
Anybody else would add anything?
I'd like to add something. We start out with a group of champions. We talk to a few people who help put the program together and get us in touch with storytellers. So we have a few that I'd like to name off here real quick, if that's okay. David Frederking mentioned his name. Sarah Stevens, she works at the municipal building, that's hard to say, and has been a great help to us. Nick Allwart, Roger Beckew, Emily Miller, Lynn Cool, Dale and Carol Lau. I can't talk today. Hopefully I can talk Wednesday night. Terry White, Dale and Jeannie Wolf, Dave and Kathy Quarter, and Devin Walk.
Cool. And then how many stories will we expect to see on Wednesday night?
18.
18?
Try to get 19 for 19, but
yeah. Oh, yeah.
18 storytellers, 18 stories.
One of my favorite questions to ask you all about this is, what did you learn? When you think about Altamont, This Is Our Story, what did you learn down the line?
Well, in honor of Jana, one of our original Our Story team members, I love seeing from community to community what towns like, oh, that's kind of like that town and that town. This is our 4th community in Effingham County. Hopefully nobody out there is listening and disagrees with me on this, but there are similarities to T-Town. Opposite end of the county, there's the German heritage, big time emphasis on faith and schools, and just learning the idiosyncrasies of these towns and what makes them tick and the unique things. And that's the best part about it, is what is unique to this town that is only in this town. And that's certainly something to pay attention to Wednesday.
Lacey, what'd you learn?
Well, since he already hit on churches and the German heritage, I'll also say their commitment to their outdoor spaces. So Ballard Nature Center is one of the stories, and we also have a show here at WEIU called Take a Hike, and we had gone there previously for an episode.
That's called a shameless self-plug, by the way.
Well, I'll take my opportunity when I can get it. And so it was really cool to re-highlight that location and to get to know a little bit more about the founder, Ernie Ballard himself, the man behind the location. And he was a mover and shaker in the community. He was on the fair board, original founding member of the Lions Club. So he was a little bit everywhere. And then also our champion and storyteller, Nick Allward, he was talking about the beautification of the community, so their garden club. He has a sculpture park, previously had a landscape type business. And so just their commitment to not just having a great functioning community, but also making sure it's a beautiful place to live.
Jason Williams also highlights the other parks around the town, the memorial, Veterans Memorial in the north end of town, and something that is truly unique to Altamont that you will hear many times in the program. They have a town triangle in the downtown area.
And Ken, from your
I
point of
learned a
view?
lot about Altamont. We recorded in the Dr. Charles M. Wright House, which is unique to that area. Very
Beautiful.
historical place. Yeah, beautiful. I think the one thing that I did take away is kind of a slogan that we put in the show to open it and close it, and it came from the Champion Group, specifically David Frederick King. And so this is what it starts with: is a community of people with vision. They work together and get things done. And the town slogan is small enough to care, large enough to serve. So, I mean, the one thing that really plays out through the entire show is they really do. They come together, they get things done, they set a goal, and they succeed.
For the viewer standpoint on Wednesday night, is there any and we don't want to give up the entire show, the tidbits of the best part of the show, but is there some things you want them to look for in a certain story or just the overall theme like you've been talking about?
Well, first of all, these two will be on camera Wednesday night. I'll be punching the buttons, hopefully making them look as good as they can. They'll do a great job. I know they will. We have the program as we typically do. We have the live pledge segment. So the folks that saw the program last Wednesday in Altamont saw the whole show from start to finish. But for live TV, we break it up because this is, as Lacey will probably plug, this is a fundraising opportunity for ourselves. We have the program segmented into 4 story blocks. So story blocks of 5, 4, 5, 4. I'm personally excited for the folks at home to see the story block, or the school block, because there's three stories about the individual different segmented schools. They have a kind of an introductory nursery school called Froggy Pond. They have an interparish school, which is about the faith, and then you have the Altamont Elementary and High School. And then the last story is the sports, which kind of, in a way, almost rounds it out together, because all the kids in Altamont, whether they go to the high school or the interparish school, all end up playing for Altamont. So it's a pretty colorful and lots of faces.
Yeah, the debut last week we with the red carpet down in Altamont. Talk about what did some of the people say and talk when they first got to see the show.
Wow.
I think they were sort of blown away by how good they sounded. Everybody comes in nervous. We're just all normal, everyday, average people, and we're asking them to sit behind a camera, which is awkward, and not have anyone talk back with them. And I think the one thing that they thought that it looked really good, sounded good, they learned a lot about their community, and they're excited to share their community with other people.
Now, Lacey, I know this is only your 7th show. It seems like you've been here longer than that, but it's the 19th overall, and Ken and Rameen, you've been here for all of them, as have I. But, talk about the 19th show. Is it still fun? Do you still get invigorated? Do you still look forward to when the lights come on this coming Wednesday night?
Well, I'll tell you, this is the favorite thing that I get to do since I've been here. I love storytelling. I love getting to meet people. And I finally had one of the hallmark Our Story experiences. So what these two have dealt with since they've been here doing it since 2014 is they will go to a community. They will have met all of these wonderful people. And then maybe a year or so down the road, they'll be in that community. They'll run into somebody who is like, oh my gosh, I worked with you on the Our Story project. How are you? How are things? How's, XYZ? And I finally had that this year for Sullivan. I ran into Judy Featheringgill, who told the story about Brown Shoe Factory, and that was my first project I got to work on when I got here. It was during COVID, and just to be able to finally reap what I've sowed with those connections and get to reconnect with those people it was so fun. It was really made it worthwhile.
I know we've made a following. I mean, there are people that really look forward to it. You see on our Facebook page, because Facebook is all about social interaction and likes and loves and all shares. And we have the same group of people. If you just casually look, it's people from past Our Stories. They like to see where we're going next. I ran into a church member yesterday. He's like, "What have you guys been working on?" It's like, "Oh, I love those programs." It's like, "Well, watch Wednesday night." It's like, it's like, Altamont. Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about that community. So you're going to learn a lot about then to now.
Okay. Let's again go back to what Rameen talked about a little bit ago, but maybe in detail. There's 4 blocks of stories. So can you go through block 1, then block 2, then block 3, and block 4, and just give a little tease of each of the blocks?
All right, so we're going to open up the show with the origin of Altamont. The storyteller is Kurt Becker, who is pretty famous for his voice.
He's very famous.
Velvet voice.
So you may recognize him. We follow that with Ballard Nature Center, a faith-based community, the beautification, all work, and the art sculptures, and Schützenfest, which is a fun story to end on for the first block.
Colorful.
That second block, all of the school stories, as Rameen said. I don't remember if he said if we wrap it up with sports as well, but that was a crazy awesome story. So many pictures. Going into our third block, we kick things off with businesses. We talk past, present, and future. Again, to cheer on Rameen, he put together this awesome photo montage at the end, because how do you encapsulate an entire community's business from inception to now? So you get a lot of things in there, which is awesome to see. Parks and Veterans Memorial Lutheran Care Center by Emily Miller. She was so nervous, and she did an excellent job. You get to see this cool interaction between the senior citizens that live in their community, as well as they have a daycare. And so they get to interact with the kiddos, kind of have that grandparent-grandchild experience, which is so sweet.
Yes.
Dr. Charles M. Wright House by Scott Beal. And then Effingham County Fair, another stellar story that Rameen knocked out of the park. He went there for City Spotlight. There's so many colorful visuals, so many faces, so definitely tune in for that one so you can see your loved one kicking it at the fair.
Also, a certain retired now sports broadcaster in Effingham County will have his photo on there eating a good burger before he called the harness racing there.
We won't mention Greg Sapp's name, though.
He's a great guy. The Charles Wright House, where we taped the Our Storytellers, Scott Beal is a former longtime storyteller on Heartland Highways back in the Standard Def days of 2008. So we rekindled a few video clips from that. So he did point out to us, I've been on your station before. So good to have a former face on a different program.
Obviously, we pledge this, which means people can buy Blu-rays or DVDs. Can they pre-order now? Is it everything ready on their website?
Yeah, everything's up and ready on our website. If you go to weiu.net and click on Donate Now, you can select Altamont, and you can choose whether you want a DVD, Blu-ray, or a flash drive, or multiple copies.
There you go. And talk about this too, Ken, maybe from your point of view, is the support of this so vital. We have to have underwriting. We have to have DVD sales. But people say, well, you sell these shows, but yes, but it's important right now to support PBS and WEIU. Talk about that.
Well, WEIU is a PBS affiliate station, and we rely on community support to offset any federal funding that we get. And if we don't meet that quota, that puts our funding in jeopardy. And so it's vital that we receive underwriting support from the business community and funding support from our viewers. That's why at the end of the programs you will hear thank you to viewers like you, because it's your funding support that supports us, and because of that we are able to receive funding from the federal government.
Now, this is the one question I'm going to put you on the spot, because I never have asked you this before, and all three of you might have to come up with a little quick mind game here. But people say, oh, it's funded and it takes forever. You know, we've been working on this show, or you all have more than I have. I start out and then hand it over when you look at it that way. But you think about this: how many hours combined between the three of you do you put in through Wednesday, and even actually after that, to make it this show, from beginning to end? Think about that.
Well, I got asked that question by Kurt Becker the other night at the premiere, and we started back in May. We started talking to folks in Altamont, and we developed the champion group, and we had meetings with that, and we developed the underwriters, and we met with them, and then we got the storytellers and met with them and trained them, and then we recorded, and then the edit time. So, we've been working on this since May, and we were editing as of right after the premiere, we made a couple of corrections.
Yeah, we made a few.
And the day of the premiere as well. So, I mean, it's right up until airtime almost that we've been working on this all the way through May. So hours, I don't know, countless.
Easily hundreds of hours. I mean, if you look at how many trips have we made to Altamont, whether it be for, as you're seeing in the pictures that we kind of document the process from start to finish, multiple meetings. I had a personal couple of B-roll taping days to kind of round it out, and we had a ridiculous amount of visuals available to us in this program. As you'll see, it's a very colorful program. Obviously, another trip for the premiere night. The editing, who knows? I don't know. I can't speak for Lacey, but it's in the hundreds. I mean, this is our biggest production of the year. It's always an exciting process. You get down to the final edits, you get a little sick and tired of a story here or there, but honestly, the premiere night, as I think it was Jason Williams, the parks storyteller. It is great to see the program somewhere other than a database, because what does it look like? Because we can watch it on the front office TV monitor, we can watch it in so-and-so Edibay, but it's great to see it somewhere else. How does it look? How does it feel? Did we do it right? And based on a couple of people like Roger Beckwith grabbing the mic and telling us, okay, this looks pretty good, I wasn't sure how this was going to go, and, so it feels good to finally see it hit this point before it actually airs on TV, because we know what we're showing by this point.
There you go.
If I can jump in really quick
please,
as well. Our production day was October 22nd. So to have a turnaround on December 4th, this one was a little tight, a little challenging, but definitely worth it. Rameen mentioned visuals. Devin Walk, we have to give a huge shout out to him. Him and the treasure trove of photos from his grandfather. An incredible help to making this program what it is, because obviously we're a visual medium, we're not radio. In our block 4 of stories too, I don't want to leave them out either. We've got Mill Road Threshermen's Association, so anybody who's a lover of agriculture, the tools that they used in the past, that's a great story. Altamont Fire Protection District, the people who are volunteering themselves, putting their lives on the line to make sure that you're safe. City Utilities by Larry Taylor. He is a former mayor, loved by the community. And wrapping things up with Kenny Shoemaker talking about the Lions Club and all of their social organizations, which that phrase that Kiana brought up about, them coming all together, having a vision, working together until they get things done, that just put such a nice bow on everything, because it really showed that even though they're a smaller community, that doesn't matter. They're large enough to care. They're large enough to make it happen.
Mr. Shoemaker was thrown off, Jeff, at the end of the premiere night. We kind of told him, well, we picked your story to be the last storyteller. Well, that doesn't, we don't put these stories in order of how good they were or whatnot. I mean, there is a flow to this program. We obviously have an origin story, so it's not going to go anywhere else but first. Well, Kenny Shoemaker's story really tied everything up, because the Lions Club and all these social organizations, as we've learned in a lot of these Our Story programs, these social organizations make the community run. I mean, they can have figureheads, but it's these organizations. I'm thinking of Neoga. They have this Neoga Partnership for Progress. These organizations, they're the ones that really are doing the groundwork behind the scenes that are making these communities thrive.
We're talking about Altamont. This is Our Story, which debuts this Wednesday at 7 on WEIU TV with Rameen, Lacey, and Kian from our WEIU television station here on the campus of EIU. The other thing that people always look forward to is, when they visualize, they turn their TV on Wednesday, it's just not the talent, which is Lacey and Kian on Wednesday, but you guys also do a great job of decorating the station to look like Altamont kind of moved into our TV studio. Talk about what people can expect on Wednesday night there.
Well, my office is full of all kinds of collectibles.
Needs to be moved.
Yeah, memorabilia from Shoots and Fest and different things throughout the community, events and different things. One thing that Sarah Stephen mentioned at the red carpet premiere, when they were cleaning out an old bank there, they found a poster that was all wrinkled up and shoved into something, and they unfolded it really carefully. Come to find out, she put it together, and it was one of their very first posters from their very first street fair they had in Altamont. So it's framed, and it will be on the show.
1925. Do the math, folks.
Yeah.
It's almost 100 years old.
99,
So-
Rameen.
Yes, sir. You're sharp. You're sharp.
So there will be all kinds of things Altamont, including the storytellers and some other folks from Altamont Wednesday evening to help answer the phones. So many people are in this program. I mean, the kids block with the schools and the fair, and I mean, you will see so many people that you know from Altamont that evening.
Through the years, I mean, Devin Walk's providing of. I mean, that's what's great about this program that I can appreciate. Because initially, when we started this program, I'm like all about the video, but you got to have these old photos. Well, Devin Walk provided us with this arsenal of just I mean, it's like the vault of Altamont photos. I mean, I don't know how many stories his photos touched, but it really.
I'd be willing to wager all of them.
I mean,
if we went back and looked.
And I appreciate Lacey's comment about the businesses stories, but it's like I'm sitting there going, "There's too many great photos here not to show." So that little montage at the end is almost like we owed it to that story. And Roger Beckhue, who I'm just going to go ahead and say it, he kind of got that awesome uncle vibes, like Mr. Belvedere. You know, he sat down, he told the story, and you know, when he came up there at the premiere night and said, "I was so nervous, cut it all." Well, he told a great story because he was nervous because he doesn't want to leave any of the businesses out, and he does a great job of encapsulating the Altamont business scene from the beginning to now, which obviously is an interstate community, national road. And you're going to see a lot of the images through the years. And you've driven off by I-70. You know what some of those old businesses were in Altamont, and you're going to see them in this program.
The other thing, Lacey and Kean, you're the talent. You keep the show rolling on Wednesday night. Talk about the preparation for Wednesday. I mean, do you start thinking about stuff in your mind? Do you practice? Go through that.
So at this point, we still have a couple of days, so we are planning to sit down. We've been quite busy, if you can imagine. But we are planning to sit down and kind of hash through what we want to talk about with these stories. Because unfortunately, since we don't have unlimited time, when people come in and tell their stories, we often have to cut a lot of really cool factual nuggets. Mm-hmm. And so as I'm going and editing, I try to take notes of those so that if they didn't make the final story, it's things that we can talk about on live night. We also powwow with Rameen, because he's got the finer tooth comb over his stories, and we don't want to leave, half the content out. But I think that's definitely a big part of it, is just seeing what we can include that didn't make the final cut.
And re-emphasizing things like, I'm currently closed captioning the program still because we made some little tweaks. And it's like, this Dr. Holsketter keeps on showing up in all of these stories. He was more than just a doctor. He had his hands in so many stories. And so it's like it's recognizing in this one-shot opportunity for these communities to recognize these people, the movers and shakers, that really impacted these communities then and moving forward.
I got in touch with one of the storytellers who have since passed. Not the storyteller. It's a story about his father, and he's not in the story. But I reached out to him. I found him on Facebook because you want to do some research and find some photos that may not have been given to us. So he gave me some nuggets to read about his father. Gilbert Park was named after him. And so he emailed me as of this morning and said, here's something that you can read about my dad, that maybe didn't make the show. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to add things like that are very special to people and personal. That's what the Live Night's all about, is connecting to people through their community and through the storytellers and through the people who support us, because it does become an emotional event. Mm-hmm. It became emotional at the red carpet premiere the other night. You see how this really matters to the folks that we get to know, and they become friends. I
mean, we had the EIU program, and not to coin, that was called EIU, This Is Who We Are, but each of these programs, when these people watch this, they're going, yeah, this is who we are, this is who we've been. And really, we are, at the time that we tape these programs, a lot of things can happen. I mean, so much has happened to Effingham since we taped that very first one. But this is where we get to tape these programs, and it's a time capsule at that exact moment of what these communities are. And I feel like, every one of them, we've got them at just the right time. Those were that it was meant to be.
Do you feel pressure? You've built now the repertoire of 19 shows, and on top of all the other stuff that you produce. But do you feel pressure every time the new one's going to debut? And if we're down to 48, 50 hours left.
I'll just say yes and let them talk.
I think it's a pressure of just wanting to do right by the storytellers, because they are trusting you. They are coming in and being so vulnerable as amateurs, as people who have never done something like this before, trusting you to take their raw story and make it into something special. So when it comes together and you get through the red carpet premiere and you finally get to hear some of that good feedback that they're just so thrilled, I can't believe you made me sound like I sat down, told the story perfectly from start to finish, that's when we know we've done it.
Kean, I know you want to say something, but I feel I'm obligated to. There's Matt Robinson, perfect timing. It was meant to be. He's Effingham sports broadcaster. He's kind of taken over the reins from Greg Sapp, but he tells the sports story. And at the end of the premiere night, I kind of just casually walk around to people and say, how did we do? And it's also an opportunity for us. Did we get everything right? Well, Matt, being from Altamont, I'm not from Altamont. Hey, there was that one team. It was kind of important. It might be important. So we threw that team back into the program. And so the version that we showed the other night, there's a little extra in that sports story. You're going to see. You're going to hear it from Matt Robinson right there.
There you go.
Well, it's things like that that we want people to be proud
Right.
of their program that they've helped produce, and we want to be proud of it too. You know, this is a partnership between us and the community, people we'd never met before. You know, we're strangers, we're leaving as friends, and we get to know the community through all of these people and their stories that they share with us. So it's something to be really proud of, I think, by the time it's finished.
There you go. 19 shows in the hopper, you know, as of this Wednesday. Go back and Lacey, you can actually go back because you've seen them all now. Is there a favorite story or storyteller from any of the 19 that you still like to talk about and think about, or is there too many?
I've got a lot of favorites, a lot. I mean, I think something that I've always held close to my heart was Eldon Uten from Effingham, the very first show that we did. He was a war veteran, and he helped people escape from the Holocaust. And that was really emotional. And we got to interview him in his house and get to know him on a personal level. A story from Arcola, the coffee club, that was a memorable
Gosh,
story.
Great story, yeah.
My goodness.
Different places we've recorded. I mean, just lots and lots of memories.
Lacey?
I love the project of Ashmore, Oakland, Kansas. This is our story, being from Oakland, 3 smaller communities connected pretty much by a school district, and getting to go through the story of OHS Memories by Janice Hunt. My class was the last one to graduate from the old high school building, and to get to see all of the old memorabilia and just brought back a lot of memories, so it was really good.
Since Lacey referenced her hometown in the Charleston program, John Dom and the community band in Charleston was a humdinger. I think for the program as a whole, we've done 7 programs since COVID happened. I think the one right before COVID, Cumberland County, it was our first county program. I feel, for me personally, that changed kind of an outlook as how I look at these programs. We've done a lot of smaller communities since that one. And that was a truly unique program in the sense that we were covering a county, a very rural county. And if you look at the programs we've taped since Cumberland County, it has kind of, that was the launching point of a lot of these smaller communities. And you see how gigantic the heart is in all of these smaller counties, communities.
30 seconds, Ken. Who do we need to thank? Put you on the spot there.
Sorry.
That's okay.
We need to thank Ballard Nature Center, Altamont Lutheran Care Center, Irwin Seating, Rogers Home Appliance, MOCD Law, Joe's Pizza from Altamont, Albert Artworks, Hydane's Hidden Timbers, the City of Altamont, Sarah Stephen, Dr. Charles M. Wright House, and Scott Beal, Carriage House Event Center and Janet Ramsey, FCC Builders, David Frederking, Deb's Catering, The Giving Plate, and Illinois Arts Council.
We are WEIU, Wednesday at 7.